It started with a moment that seemed completely ordinary. At the gates of the Bob Marley Museum on Hope Road, security spotted Damian Marley and quickly cleared a path. "Make space. Gong Jr. coming." It was a simple gesture, but it carried the weight of one of the most famous names in music. For years, Damian proudly lived with that legacy. He honored his father's influence while building a career of his own. But then rumors began to spread. Whispers turned into headlines. Stories about family tensions refused to disappear. Some even claimed that a DNA test had changed everything. But what is fact, and what is speculation? That's where this story becomes far more interesting. Beyond the gossip lies a much bigger question. What does it really mean to carry the Marley name? For Damian, it has never been as simple as being Bob Marley's youngest son. His father died when he was only 2 years old, leaving behind an enormous musical legacy but very few personal memories. Damian grew up without truly knowing the man the rest of the world treated like a legend. Instead, he had to discover his father through songs, stories, and the expectations of millions of fans. Imagine trying to live up to someone you barely remember. Could anyone ever escape that shadow? Bob Marley was known not only for changing reggae forever but also for having a large family. Several of his children eventually entered music, yet Damian emerged as one of the most successful. While Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers found fame during the 1980s, Damian created something different. He blended reggae with dancehall and hip-hop, bringing the Marley sound to a younger generation without simply copying his father. That choice would eventually separate him from the rest of the family. But did that independence also create distance behind the scenes? His childhood was unlike many people expected. Damian was raised in Kingston's wealthy Stony Hill neighborhood by his mother, Cindy Breakspear, the former Miss World. Her husband, Tom Tavares Finson, became Damian's stepfather. Growing up, Damian lived in a household where he was the only brown-skinned child among his younger white Jamaican siblings. At the same time, his biological father had been deeply connected to Rastafarian beliefs and Marcus Garvey's movement for black empowerment. Those two very different worlds shaped the person Damian would become. But how do you balance such different identities? Originally, music was not even his first dream. Damian wanted to become an architect. Yet after finishing school, he chose another path. He embraced Rastafarian beliefs and dedicated himself to music, seeing reggae not simply as entertainment but as a message of unity, hope, and connection. Even so, he refused to become an imitation of Bob Marley. Instead, he developed his own voice, speaking openly about his heritage while creating a modern sound that reached audiences around the world. And that decision would soon pay off in ways few expected. Some even argue Damian achieved something his father never did in the American music market. Bob Marley became a global icon, but he never scored a top 10 hit in the United States. Damian changed that conversation. Welcome to Jamrock became one of the defining reggae songs of its era, while his collaboration with Skrillex, Make It Bun Dem, introduced him to an entirely different audience. It was proof that carrying the Marley name did not mean standing still. But success also brought fresh questions. Was everyone in the family truly celebrating his rise? For years, rumors suggested there was tension between Damian and his half-brother Ziggy Marley. The speculation grew louder during the release of the Bob Marley, One Love biopic. Fans noticed Damian was missing from premieres and stayed silent across social media while other family members actively promoted the film. At the same time, Cindy Breakspear's limited presence in the movie sparked criticism. Suddenly, people began connecting the dots. Were these simply coincidences, or signs of something deeper? Ziggy eventually addressed the rumors directly. He insisted there was no family feud and said he spoke with his brothers regularly. According to him, Damian simply had other commitments and could not attend the premieres. He also dismissed claims that the Marley family was divided, describing them as nothing more than public speculation. Still, many fans remained unconvinced. After all, when a family carries a legendary surname, every absence becomes a headline. But actions often reveal more than words. So what happened when the brothers finally shared the stage again? The answer came during the Legacy Tour. More than 4 decades after Bob Marley's passing, 5 of his sons reunited to celebrate his music across North America. Ziggy, Stephen, Julian, Kamani, and Damian performed side by side, proving that the Marley legacy was still alive. Together, they shared songs rather than competing for attention. Classics like Natural Mystic, Get Up, Stand Up, Iron Lion Zion, 3 Little Birds, Exodus, Could You Be Loved, and One Love became celebrations of family as much as music. If there really had been serious divisions, they certainly were not obvious on stage. The performances were carefully balanced. Each brother stepped forward to lead songs that suited his own style before passing the spotlight to the next. They also showcased their own original music, reminding audiences that each Marley had built an individual career beyond their father's catalog. Damian brought the energy of Welcome to Jamrock and his unmistakable stage presence, while Stephen joined him for powerful collaborations that highlighted the chemistry they had developed over decades. It was a reminder that the Marley story has never belonged to just one person. But Damian's journey had started long before those arena tours. At only 13 years old, he formed a group called the Shepherds. Although the band eventually broke apart, the experience convinced him to continue as a solo artist. Backed by the family's Tough Gong label, he released Mr. Marley before following it with Halfway Tree. That album title reflected his own life perfectly. His mother came from an affluent background, while his father represented Jamaica's poorer communities. Damian described himself as standing halfway between those two worlds. The album earned him a Grammy Award and established him as much more than simply Bob Marley's son. Then came the breakthrough that changed everything. Welcome to Jamrock exploded onto the global stage. The title track painted a raw picture of poverty, violence, politics, and daily life in Jamaica. Some criticized it for exposing uncomfortable truths, while others praised its honesty and courage. The song became an anthem that resonated far beyond reggae fans. It climbed international charts, earned Grammy Awards, and remains one of Damian's defining achievements. But instead of slowing down, he looked for new creative partners. His collaboration with rapper Nas produced Distant Relatives, an ambitious project built around shared African heritage, culture, and history. Mixing reggae with hip-hop, the album explored ancestry, poverty, identity, and social justice while raising funds to help build schools in the Congo. It debuted inside the top 10 of the Billboard 200 and reached audiences across Europe and North America. The partnership showed that music could connect different cultures without losing authenticity. Yet Damian was still searching for fresh challenges. That search led him into unexpected territory. He joined the supergroup Super Heavy alongside Mick Jagger, Dave Stewart, Joss Stone, and A.R. Rahman. The project blended reggae, rock, Indian music, and pop into something completely different. Songs like Miracle Worker introduced Damian to another international audience while proving he was never afraid to experiment. Soon afterwards, he teamed up with Skrillex on Make It Bun Dem, a track that became a worldwide hit and gained even more popularity after appearing in the video game Far Cry 3. Few reggae artists had crossed musical boundaries so successfully. Damian continued building on that momentum with Stony Hill, an album that earned another Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album. Throughout his career, he has insisted that reggae and dancehall should never be divided because both are expressions of Jamaican culture. His music continues to blend influences while addressing themes of ancestry, inequality, hope, and resilience. Rather than relying solely on the Marley name, he has created a catalog that stands firmly on its own. So, despite years of rumors and endless speculation, one thing remains clear. Damian Marley's story is far bigger than internet gossip. It is the story of a man who inherited one of music's greatest legacies but refused to let it define his limits. Whether performing alongside his brothers or standing alone on the world's biggest stages, he has continued to honor his father's message while creating a legacy entirely his own. And perhaps that is the most remarkable part of all. The Marley name opened the first door, but everything that followed was built by Damian himself.